Om Sadashivasamārambhām Vyāsaśaṅkaramadhyamām Asmatacārya-paryantām Vande Guru-paramparam Shrutismriti-purānānām Ālayam Karunalayam Namāmi Bhagavad-pādam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So in the previous class, we finished up to verse number 6, if I'm not mistaken. So from verse number up to number 6, the author is focusing on the qualities required for a person who wants to pursue the knowledge, the Vedanta, pursue Atma Jnana. So he discussed about what are the efforts one should make, sadhyam, sadhanam. In that we saw how karma has to be done. So all these karmas or rituals which you do are not waste. They help to some extent in shaping our preparedness for the jnana. So karmas itself cannot be called waste because everybody does karma in the beginning. Nobody becomes overnight a jnani, nobody just follows jnana yoga just like that. So karma is very, very essential part of the initial upbringing. That is why the Veda itself has got 3 angas, 3 sections. So we've got Karma Kanda, which is the first section, which is about 70% of the whole Upanishad is Karma Kanda. Then we've got Upasana Kanda, which is about 20% of the whole Upanishad. Then we have the Jnana Kanda, which is only 10% of the whole Upanishad. So if you look at the structure, 90% of the entire Vedas is oriented towards those people who are not ready for jnana. That means karma has to be is prescribed for people who are not ready yet. Upasanam is prescribed for people who are not ready yet. So only when the person does these 2 systematically, continuously, with the target in mind. That means if a person does these activities without having any definite decision in mind, any particular target in mind, he will just be mechanically doing things. Like everybody goes to temple, they go there, they enjoy there, they spend time, they come back without knowing why they are going to temple. Right? If you ask them, they will say, I'm going to temple because I want to go and pray to the Bhagavan. But if you ask them, have you ever tried to ask who is the Bhagavan? They will say that, no, that thought never come to me. Because I don't need to know. So for them, Bhagavan is an object of knowledge. Is another place where you can go and see something, relax, meet people, those kind of things. So it becomes like an activity. So every Saturday religiously you go. You do Neidipam for the correct, for warding off all the sudden effects. Shani Dosham. So mechanically people do. So there's nothing wrong with that. There will be definitely benefit in that. But the benefit is actually not, you can't correlate because it is something which is you're going to do for a lifetime. But there will come a time when you will not ask as to why I am doing this karma. How long will I do this karma? Will this end at all? So that is the time when a person actually starts to lean into pramanam. So there is a pramanam means a means of knowledge. For every knowledge to be there, there has to be an equivalent means of knowledge. Just as the eyes are the pramanam for seeing the object. Correct? So, and you have to use only the eye for as a pramanam for seeing. You cannot use the ears for seeing some object. Correct? So that particular object you want to see or you want to enjoy has to be enjoyed only by that particular organ of perception. So if you want to hear good music, you'll have to have pramana means your ears. If you want to taste something good, then your pramana means your tongue. Any feeling is your twak or your skin touch. So each of these are individual pramana. Likewise, all these pramanams are what? They are all the means of knowledge. They are all bahya indriyani. That means they are outside of your outside organs. Correct. So they are always looking outside only. There's none of the parts are looking inside. Eyes are outside. Physically only you cannot have an ear inside the body. It will always be outside. That is the way structure is there. So by nature, we are programmed to always look outside. By nature, the Bhagavan says, you enjoy. With all your external organs, you enjoy this entire world and then keep enjoying. But only for the discerned person or the person who is ready for jnana, only for such a person, he will make an inquiry inside. He will say, okay, all these are all looking outside. What about my mind? How do I focus on mind? How do I concentrate on mind? How do I bring my mind into control? All these are questions asked by a person who is now enjoying things outside but not finding happiness or not finding satisfaction. So he's looking for something which is different, which cannot be offered by any of these pramanams. Correct? So he has come to a level of saturation where these objects no longer give the person a pleasure. So he's looking for something. That is why he turns to pramanam or the shastra. So pramanam, they say, Veda is a pramanam. So Veda, just like everything else is a pramanam, Veda also is a pramanam for Atma Jnana, for knowledge of the self. There is no other pramanam available other than the Vedas. So Veda has to be taken or understood as the only means of pramanam. And that too, Veda, Vedanta Bhaga. So Veda Anta Bhaga means what? The end portion of the Vedas. Antaha means end. And Vedanta means the end portion or the last section of the Upanishads, which is the 10% of the Upanishads. So we got around 108 Upanishads listed officially. There are more than 222, but only 108 is actually known to the human people now. I mean, from the Britishers' days or even before the Britishers' days. Because India was invaded by so many countries, so many people, Portuguese, Mughals, British, everybody raided India. There's not a single person who was left. So every time there was a raid, all these rare things were destroyed because everybody's religion was being forced. So they have to get rid of all these other things. Somehow, a few things survived. And there are 108 Upanishads which are there in different parts of the world. Out of the 108 Upanishads, only 10 Upanishads are considered as very serious Upanishads to be studied. It does not mean the remaining 98 are useless. They are there, but it is actually targeted for different purposes. The first 10 Upanishads, for which Adi Shankara wrote a Bhashyam for it, they constitute the Vedanta section. They constitute the Vedanta, and that is what we are going to study in this particular series of classes. So the people who are, as I told you in the beginning itself, that initially there will be a lot of interest. Slowly the interest will diminish. Out of 10 people, 5 people will come, 5 will become 3, 3 will become 2, finally only 1% remain. This is the niyam, this is the law. So I will not be surprised, I will not be, I know from the beginning. So I do not need to discourage anyone. I know it's a long haul course, it's difficult. So many things will come in the mind, so many distractions will come in the mind, so many questions will come in the mind. One's own pratibandha also will come in the mind. Pratibandha means one's own obstacles. It can be self-made obstacles, it can be self-made intuitions, it could be some understanding, some expectation which is not being all this kind of. So all these are actually has to be separated out. So when you study Vedanta, you have to keep everything out of the window and come with a fresh mind. When you come with already a preloaded mind of things, this will not register well for you. Why it is said? Because it is a method of study. That is what now he is going to go into this verse. So why I am giving this background? Because now the author from verse number 7, he is now embarking on an area of Atmagyanam. So what is required for Atmagyanam to be pursued? Now the assumption is that the student has already addressed the areas of sadhana chatushtayam. That means he has understood that being an adhikari, what qualifications are required, what effort has to put. In 6 verses, he has assumed it. But 6 can take 6 years. Who knows? Correct. So develop the qualities. But we cannot wait for 6 years. Neither the author can wait for 6 years. So he said that you keep working on your qualities, keep working on it. And now he is going to introduce Atma Jnanam in this section. Okay. So let's look at this section here and we go through first the word by word, then we see. Karmopasanato vishuddha hridayas. Karmopasanato vishuddha hridayas. Tattvartha samsiddhaye. Tattvartha samsiddhaye. Karmopasanato vishuddha hridayah. Tatsamvata samsiddhaye. Swacharyam paricharya shastra vidina. Swacharyam paricharya shastra vidina. Tasmascha vidyam param. Tasmascha vidyam param. Karmopasanato vishuddha hridayas. Tatvata samsiddhaye. Swacharyam paricharya shastra vidina. Tasmascha vidyam param. Shrutva samshayanuttaye cha mananam. Shrutva samshayanuttaye cha mananam. Stamne nididhyasanam. Stamne nididhyasanam. Shrutva samshayanuttaye cha mananam. Swamne nididhyasanam. Abhyasya kramashah samadhi nilayah. Abhyasya kramashah samadhi nilayah. Prapnotu shantim dhruvam. Prapnotu shantim dhruvam. Karmopasanato vishuddha hridayas. Tatvata samsiddhaye. Swacharyam paricharya shastra vidina. Tasmascha vidyam param. Shrutva samshayanuttaye cha mananam. Stamne nididhyasanam. Abhyasya kramashah samadhi nilayah. Prapnotu shantim dhruvam. So, first word, karmaha. Karmaha pasanataha. upasanato. So karmam and upasanam. So a person who has, by virtue of doing all the karmas before. So as I told you that here, the author is assuming that you have been doing karmas, you have been doing upasana. Upasana means what? Meditation, shama, dhamma, titiksha, uparama, etc. We are seeing there. So all qualities are being developed. The person is working on it. So karma upasanaha. So by doing karma and upasanam, what has happened? Vishuddha hridaya. See, Shuddham itself means purity. And Vishuddha means what? Full purity, or there is no blemish anymore. So the purity of the heart, or purity of mind, purity of action, purity of thought, purity of speech. Right? All of them are called Vishuddha. And how? In Hridayaha. That means the person who is of the nature or of the person who has developed these qualities and whose mind is under control. So that's what Vishuddha Hridaya. And why is he doing this? Why would you do karma? Why would you do upasanam? Why would you develop Atma Shuddhi or Manashuddhi? What is the reason for that? The reason he says here, Tattvartha Tattva Arthaha Samsiddhaye. So Tattvam means the truth, correct? Artha means the meaning of the truth. What is the truth being said? Truth is Satyam. Satyam means Jnanam. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So Yoveda Nihitam Guhayam Paramet Yoman. See, Tatri Upanishad. There is a very famous mantra. Brahma Vidapnoti Param Tatesha Yukta Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parametyo Man. That means Brahmavit Apnoti Param. That means a person who considers himself Brahman, Brahmavit, is already attained Brahman or has become Brahman. So Brahmavit Apnoti. Right? So you see the word Prapnotu. See the word, last word there. Samadhi Nileha Prapnotu Shanti Dhruvam. So Apnoti Prapnoti. Adaidal. Or the person reaches, or the person takes ownership. See, there's nothing called reaching, or there's nothing called going somewhere. It is taking ownership of your own true nature. That means you're not discovering something new. It's the same person, everybody is same. The only thing is now you have now discovered your true nature. Why it is said like this? Because our old habits die very hard. Because it takes so much of effort to do all the practices. In fact, there's a very funny story. There are, 4 or 5 barbers. Barber, right? The person who Navidan. So there are 4 or 5 barbers who want to play in a Ramayana, characters in Ramayana. So they are very interested with the fact that Ramayana is a very, very good thing, and they want to play in a role. So they all enlist themselves in the Natak company, and then they go and say, we want to play some roles there. So they say, you're all barbers. So what? We are interested in playing the role. Why don't we? So they go there, they train, they rehearse. They do rehearsals. So one is Vishwamitra, another becomes Dasharatha, right? And another becomes, some rishis. So there are the key 3 or 4 roles are there. And in the olden days, in the olden days, whenever the the king comes into the court, everybody is supposed to get up or supposed to be kneeling down. Because the king is supposed to be at the top and everybody will pay worship to the king. So there are some other characters in the Ramayana who are actually not rishis, who are the people who are soldiers or ministers, you can say that, right? So they all do rehearsals and they are very confident that they can do the role. So now the actual test comes when they want to perform the role. So the king Dasharatha, he comes and he sits on the throne there. Vishwamitra comes, and then Vishwamitra because he's a rishi and he has to bow to Raja Rishi, right? Dasharatha. So he bows in front of him, kneels down and bows that, hey Rajan, please accept my namaskarams to you, something like this. Other people also, the ministers also bend down, kneel in front of Raja and comes. So what does the Raja do? The Raja has to come down, correct? He comes down from there. So immediately he's supposed to be saying what? Okay, Praja, what do you want? Or Rishi, what do you want? He says, see, Vishwamitra, your dadi is very, very long. Maybe I should cut it. What cut? You want clean shave or you want just trim cut you want? Because even though he's a Dasharatha, King Dasharatha, he has been a barber for many years. So even though you correct yourself many times, you try to correct yourself, the barber buddhi uttu povadu. And samatha correcta veli varunadu. Whenever that thing is required, at that time, what you look at somebody and the thodil nama varum, correcta? So he says, we are in Ramayana, you must not be talking like this. Oh, forgot about it. So this is called, he says here what? Vishuddha Hridayas. So karma upasana means what? Karmam and upasanam, the person has done systematically, regularly for many years, and is perfected the art. Or he has achieved some level of stability of the mind. And Vishuddha Hridaya. So by having a clean thought, purity of thought, now he wants to know what? Tattva Artha Samsiddhaye. Correct? So Tattva Artha Samsiddhaye means what? How to attain Atma Jnanam. Adavadu for Samsiddhi. Siddhi means attainment. Right? And Samsiddhi means what in total. Samsiddhi means what in perfect knowledge. There is nothing like incorrect knowledge. There will be some blemishes here and there. So he wants to have perfect knowledge of Shastram, of Atma Jnanam. So he is doing this karma, upasanam, purification of the mind, etc., with the objective of attaining Atma Jnanam. Is it correct? So you are able to follow? So karma upasanato vishuddha hridayas tattvata samsiddhaye. So how does he do it? So there are different ways you can do it. One person can say that if you have some connection, somebody will say, you just keep on doing karmas. You do Trikala Sandhya Vandanam, you do this, you do pujas, you do rituals, etc. And you will one day go to some loka. You will get, you'll be no rebirth. See, if you tell like this, you keep on doing karma forever. Moksha kadachura solran, but tell like this. Then you will have a view that karma will lead to moksha, right? Karma will lead to jnana. Karma and jnana are same. Another time somebody says you do meditation, you do Kundalini yoga, you practice Ashtanga yoga, etc. They are sleepy.
Oh, no.
See, so there are people who advocate different methods of jnana. Karma itself will lead to jnana. Upasana itself will lead to jnana. Bhakti will lead to jnana. Ashtanga yoga, etc. will lead to jnana. That is an Jnanam both all there are different, everything will go to the same place. But what Shastram says is that they will not, they are ancillary things. They will not by itself take you to Jnanam. You'll have to prepare that and then ultimately study for Jnanam. You'll have to understand what Jnanam is. These are all preparatory means. See, it is like, you want to study for Oxford University. You want to go to Cambridge University. You just rock up to Cambridge University one day and say that I want to study in university. Do you think he'll admit you? He says, yeah, I like your attitude of coming to the university, but you have to be qualified. So you should have studied. What have you studied? He said, I have studied so and so. That is not enough. So what should I do? You go back and study more and come back. Apply first. Do the exams. Qualify first. And then we will admit you. We will think of admitting or not admitting you. Same thing Vedanta does. But here Vedanta doesn't say, the teacher doesn't say that you go and do this and come back to me. He says that you practice on your own what you want to do. Keep coming to the class, keep sleeping in the class, attending the class, not attending the class, understanding, not understanding, having issues, not having issues, you continue. Because that is how one understands, that is how one corrects himself. If you become regimented or if you become agitated, if you become, frustrated about the length of the course, about the content of the course, about how long it's going to take, then you get really, worked up. So you must have a free mind. So very important. These are all the one which we talk about as karma upasanam. So a person who does karma upasanam, he does this with the view for attaining this. And Swa Acharyam. So Acharyam means Guru. So one has to approach the Guru. One has to approach the teacher. That means the student has to go to the teacher. The teacher should not, the teacher normally, see somebody asks, the teacher will say, oh, you want to come, you can come. I don't want to come. Okay, you don't want to come, it's okay. Because the teacher or the guru doesn't have an opinion of any person, of any particular situation. If you want to attend, you can attend. If you don't want to attend, you don't have to attend. If you want to achieve jnanam, you pursue jnanam. If you think something else is there. So there is really, the guru actually is available for knowledge. Because that is why one has to go to the guru. That is, tad vigyartam sagurumeva samitpanihi abhigacchati. That means what? Tad vigyartam sagurumeva. Means for that knowledge, tad vigyartam. So gurumeva means what? You have to go to the guru. Abhigacchati means you go. Right? How do you do samitpanihi? See, in the olden days, samit is supposed to be given for rishis for doing yagam. So there'll always be dry sticks, samit. So dry sticks are required for the kindling the fire and also offering into the fire. Why is called samit dry sticks? Because dry sticks catch fire quickly. For the stick to be dry, the tree itself has to be protected by all sorts of things. Right? The stick is not dry, samit. And if you offer the stick into the fire, what will happen? All these things will come, right? Because the stick is not ready, the stick is wet. That is why it is called samitpanihi, means your pani means with in your hand. So they will take the samit in the hand and they go, hey Guru, please teach me Vedanta knowledge. They go like this. The teacher never used to go and say that do you want to study Vedanta? Come to the class. Hey, I am teaching this class. Do you want to attend? So there's no like advertisement at all. In traditional Arshvidya Parampara, we never advertise, we never go after students, we never actually seek that you want to learn or not learn. So That's been the tradition. It's just the way it is. So why I'm telling? Because there's a Guru Lakshana is there, Shishya Lakshana also should be there. So here Guru Lakshana is talked about. It means, so Sa Gurumeva Abhigacchati Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So Shrotriyaha means what? A person who has listened to another teacher before. Shrotriyam means what? Listen. Shrotram means hear. Shrotriyaha means the one who has listened. That means he or she should not have been a YouTube person or MP3 record person or somebody who is a... See, there are a lot of spiritual gurus. If you ask somebody, they will say, I got my Manasika guru is there. See, I don't have a guru per se. I look at the photo, I get Jnanam. There are some people say this. My mother is my guru, my father is my guru, and I don't have a teacher per se, but when I go to that particular place, I get Jnanam automatically. Some people also are saying that in my dream, all these things come, I'm able to see, visualize everything. Jnanam, automatic Jnanam Mandiram. So these are all not correct. Because Shastram is very clear, saying that the Guru is a person who is alive in blood and flesh. Number one. Second thing is, the Guru should have listened to the teacher before who was already living as a teacher before. Third thing is, the teacher should have been a student of another teacher before. That means you are the teacher. Teacher should have been from another teacher. The teacher should have another teacher. Another teacher should be there. So the parampara goes like this. So nobody actually just suddenly rocks up one day in your house and say, I am your teacher now. So you just listen to me. Whatever I say, you should listen. If it doesn't gel with you, if it contradicts your view of thoughts, if it contradicts your lifestyle, or if something which you are not ready for it, you can pursue some other means of knowledge. Okay. So Shastra is very clear about this. So what it says here is, this word Swa Acharyam. See, why I am giving this clues, because for Atma Jnanam, Guru is required. You cannot get this knowledge other than through the words of the teacher. Somebody may ask, why should I need a Guru? I can learn everything by myself. I can go to the books. I can read Bhagavad Gita. I can read Mundakupa. Everything is English. Everything is there. Nobody can read anything. But the question is, whether you understand the meaning or not in the right perspective is only you can decide. Correct. And the understanding what you got is something which you have got understanding from your own pramanam, which is the pramanam of the book, bookish knowledge. Correct. Not through the method of the teaching methodology. So there are two different things. That is why it says yes, so Acharyam. That means not just ordinary Guru, a good Guru. Swa Acharyam means what? A nice teacher, a good teacher, not good looking teacher or something like this. What it means is a good teacher who is well versed in Vedanta. A teacher who can explain to the students the vision of Vedanta without any adulteration, without any modification, etc. What you should do to him? Paricharya. Paricharya means seva. You have to offer service to the teacher. What service you will do? See, in the olden days, the teacher won't teach you just like that. They will ask you to, in fact, there's one particular example of a student coming to the teacher, asking for knowledge. The teacher says, I will teach you, but you have to do some things for me first. So he gives him a bucket, which is ridden with all holes. And he says, you go and fill water and come. So the student also, okay, he goes. Every time goes to the sea, brings in the water, all the water falls. He comes to the Gurukulam and says, teacher, there is no water in this. You have given me this. No, he said, you keep going. This is, so he keeps doing again and again. Many times he keeps on doing again and again. Finally, he says, I'm tired. He said, tell me the reason why you are doing this to me. Then he showed him, when he first I gave you the bucket, it had all, pashi, all sorts of, algae formation everywhere there, black, dark spots, everything was there. He says, now you see the bucket, how it is. So the student sees the bucket now. Oh, it is spotless. It is actually better than this. I can see very clearly. So yes. So what the teacher has done is, the teacher initially, when the student came to Vedanta to study, he had a very high expectation. Or teacher should teach him just like that, So because he had that ahankara, he had that, that particular thing, it has to be brought down to that level. Correct. So he said, you do these activities. So the student in the olden days were subservient, like they will not question. See, Vedanta, in Vedantic culture, the student does not ask any question to the teacher. Initially, you must not ask until the first cycle of teaching is complete. That means your job is only to do shravanam, listening. Because the methodology itself is in such a way that it will address the questions step by step, slowly over a period of time. But if you have questions in between, you can note down the questions and you can ask at the appropriate time. You know what I'm saying? So these are all method. This is all method of teaching is called. Mama, உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது question இருக்கா?
இல்ல எதுவும் இல்ல கரெக்டா இருக்கு.
Okay. So see, paricharya means offering services or offering to the teacher. See, today what they are expecting, teacher, they are not expecting anything. He says, what is the service you can do to me? Attend the class. That's a basic thing you can do. You do not need to do anything for me or for the teacher also. Because there is nothing, you can only offer your services only by becoming a better student. Is that correct? Like when I learn from a teacher, I do not expectation from the teacher that she is going to give me, a bangala, car, and everything. What expectation I have? I always ask for, give me knowledge, give me Atma Gyanam. So I am willing to come whatever time is required. See, the student is supposed to adjust to the teacher's timing in the olden class. Now it is other way around. Teacher has to be very, very particular. Every time the whole system has changed, where due to the laukika vishayangal, etc., the priorities are so difficult to adjust. Right? So when we were learning Vedanta, we had to let go of so many things to attend to that class. So it is systematic, regular teaching one has to do. It's called paricharya. So paricharya is very important. See, here the qualities of the person is given. It means the importance of the acharya is given, importance of the tradition of teaching is given, importance of the trust in the teacher is given. Correct? So one has to have total surrender to the teacher, to the Shastra. If you have any sort of half doubts or half surrender, it will not work for you. Then swa acharyam paricharya. Then what? Shastra vidina. See, Shastram means what? Vedanta Shastram, right? Or Vedanta. And vidina means the person who teaches you systematically. Vidhi means what? There's a method. Correct. And the method is not changed or adapted for somebody different. So a particular course structure will be there. The course structure will be more or less similar. There will be some adjustments the teacher may make to teach a student some other topics to make them clear. Correct. So, but this skill called Shastra Vidhi, there's a method of unfoldment. And this is something not given, the teacher actually learns this with other teacher. See, this particular method of unfoldment, right? Method of explaining things systematically is learned by the teacher from the teacher. It is not something written. There's no golden book saying that you have to teach this first, you teach this like this. It is there, an order is there. If you look at the tradition of teaching, introduction to Vedanta, fundamentals of Vedanta, then we got Prakarana Granthas. So under that, we got all this, Tattva Bodha, Hastamalaka, everything is there, correct? Jiva Yatra. After that, we go to Atma Bodha, then we go to Bhagavad Gita, then we go to Upanishads. So systematic method of teaching is there. This is a method. But somehow the teacher may introduce some other topics before or later to make a little bit more clarity required, or more, before it takes some other topic. So this is called Shastra Vidhi. So Vidhi now. In the Swacharyam Paricharya Shastra Vidhina Tasma Cha means from such a guru. Tasma Cha Vidyam Param. That means one has to get knowledge from such a guru or from such a. And what is it Vidya? Para Vidya. See, Vidyam Param means what? Not Apara Vidya. The study of mathematics, study of history, study of geography, grammar, niruktam, chandas, jyotisham, etc. They are called Aparavidya. Paravidya is what? Atma Jnanam. So it's called Paravidya. So Tasmascha Vidyam Param. So now if you read this, you understand. See, Karma Upasanataha Vishuddha Hridaya. By doing karmas and upasanas, one develops purity of thought, purity of action, purity of mind. For the purpose of some tattva artha samsiddhaye, for the purpose of understanding the truth of the essence of one's own true nature. So, tattva artha samsiddhaye, very clear understanding. For that, what you should do? Swa Acharyam. So one has to go to the Acharya. Right. See, in Bhagavad Gita also, Tat Vidhi Pranipatena Sevaya. So Tat Vidhi Pranipatena means what? Pranipataha means what? Namaskaraha. Correct. Sevaya. So you do seva to the teacher. So Acharyam Paricharya Shastra Vidhina Tasma Cha Vidyam Param. Then, how do you do it? See the structure, beautiful structure. First line tells you Karma Upasanam is required. Through Karma Upasanam, one develops Vishuddha Hridayam. Correct? So when you do these things, you are doing this for the purpose of Atma Siddhi. Correct? First line. Clear? So what is required for doing this? You have to go to the Guru. Right? So Acharyam. Then you do service Paricharyam. Then you have to listen to the teacher in Shastra Vidhinam. Correct? And you should ask for Vidya Param. This Paravidya has to be, and teach me this Paravidya has to be asked. So teacher does not teach you just because you want to know. You have to say that, please, hey Guru, please teach me this, please know this, teach me this. Then the teacher definitely will teach you. At a particular point of time, you need to be taught, you will be taught. There. Then he says, okay, now I've understood this. How is it is achieved? He says, Shrutva. So Shrutva means what? By listening. Shravanam. So Shrutva means Shravanam. That is by listening. So initially when a student starts a study, one has to keep listening. Keep on listening. In fact, my teacher used to tell me also, She was a very young girl when she went to Swamiji and asked, "Can you teach me something else?" Swamiji told very clearly, "Just keep on listening. One day you'll understand. What is the hurry? You keep listening." So listening means what? Repeated listening helps you to assimilate. Like if you want to learn a good Tamil song, T.M. Soundarajan song, or some Shirgari Govindarajan, whatever is there. What do you do there? Same song you receive 10 times. Keep on listening in the radio, keep on listening in your YouTube, keep on listening there. Automatically the song will come to you, correct? Are you making, what effort you're making? You're not making any effort. You are only listening. The listening process itself actually registers into your mind automatically without you knowing it's there. That is why it's called Shrutva, Shravanam. So Shravanam is the first step. Then what the Shravanam does, it will bring you doubts. Samshayaha. So Shravanam is done for listening and also for removing your doubts. So Samshayaha Anuttayaha. Correct? So Shravanam will bring you doubts. So when you listen to this, you'll have a lot of doubts. Oh my God, I got these doubts. I got these doubts. You want to ask a question. You want to say something. The teacher says, no, wait, keep listening. Because your answer will be answered at a particular point of time. You will be patient. Because the methodology says like this. But doubts are coming there. It says, park your doubts or write your doubts. Make notes that in this chapter, this section, I had a doubt like this. And I want to see whether the doubt is getting cleared. So you keep listening, right? You keep going. What does it do? Mananam. So Mananam means what? Punashravanam. Means Punashravanam means what? Again listening. So by listening continuously, regularly over a period of time, the initial doubts which you had get resolved. Just like, I told you the example of the student who went to the sea water to get the bucket of water. By repeatedly going and fetching the water again and again, the sea water, because the saltiness of the water, it started to erode, it started to remove all the other things and it became clear. Same way, repeatedly doing the same thing again and again, Shravanam, Maranam, Shravanam, Maranam. See, Maranam it says here, and Maranam says, Shrutva Samshaya Nuttaye Cha Maranam, and Maranam. So if you do Maranam means what? Resolving of the doubts. How does it do? By Punashravanam. By listening again, same thing again and again. So, Vardhara Geta Purad. Oh, I attended Bhagavad Gita once, I know everything. No. You have to listen again. Second time, there will be some other doubts will come. Third time, some other doubts will come. So, one has to keep doing it regularly again and again till such time one becomes steady. Correct? Why this is done? Shrutva Samshaya Nuttaye Cha Maranam. So Shravanam and Maranam, Shravanam, Maranam is done for what? Stamne, Stiraha, for steady knowledge. For steadiness of the knowledge is required. Stamne. Then Abhyasya Kramashaha. So you have to go to the next line. Abhyasya Kramashaha. Abhyasana na padikiradu. That means studying. Abhyasaha means what? Studying. So studying the text. How? Kramashaha. Kramam means orderly, not random. You don't pick any text randomly and start studying some book or read another book from somewhere. So you don't do this. Kramashaha means what? Kramam means in an order. Correct? So it has to be in a particular order. Step by step you have to do Kramashaha. So you have to do Shrutva Samshaya Nuttayaha Cha Maranam. When you do this, what do you get? You get Stamne. means steady knowledge you'll get, steadiness you'll get. How do you get steadiness? By abhyasya kramashaha. That is by systematically studying in a particular order. Then, so Maranam actually requires you to analyze. So Maranam means what? You look back upon what you learned, you clear doubts by listening again, and then finally by listening again and again, you'll be left with only a very few section of doubts. Initially, you'll have a lot of doubts and less jnanam. Later on, you'll have more jnanam, less doubts. Correct. So by filtration, by filtering, you'll be left with only one or two doubts. That also will get cleared over a period of time. After that, there'll be no doubt. That means knowledge is very steady. Stamne. Right? Then what do? Nididhyasanam. See, stamne nididhyasanam. So the Acharya is given 3 steps: Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So these are 3 steps. You cannot change it. You cannot say that I want Nididhyasanam first and then Shravanam later. No. Shravanam has to occur first, then Maranam has to occur next, then Nididhyasanam has to occur next. So in Nididhyasanam, when you say, it means it is a discipline of maintaining the knowledge which has been gained by Shravanam and Mananam. That means one must not leave the knowledge gained. So in Nididhyasanam, there cannot be doubts. See, there cannot be doubt. Atma, what is Atma? You should have already known what Atma is, what is Anatma is, what is, Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, what is Titiksha, what is Uparama, what is Samadhanaha, what is Shama, Damaha. You should have already known by this time. At that time, you must not come and say, sorry, I forgot everything. So you go back, again listen. So keep listening again. So Shravanam, Mananam will lead you to Stamne Nididhyasanam. Correct? So Nididhyasanam means what? Steadiness. So for that, you need to teach, you need to do something, write articles or read more, make your own notes. All these are actually Nididhyasanam. Being with the text all the time. Taking a particular chapter, reading that, going to the notes, analyzing them, or teaching somebody, being in satsang, all these are Nididhyasanam. So a person does Nididhyasanam not because one likes to, it is a being with the text. It is a discipline, it's a yoga. Right? So it's also a method. So Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam, Abhyasya Kramashaha. Means one has to do systematic study. When you do that, what happens? Samadhi Nilayam. Samadhi Nilayam means what? A person becomes very, very steady in knowledge. A person doesn't get distracted by so many things. Samadhi Nilayam. So when you get Samadhi Nilayam, when you get tranquility, you get Prapnotu Shantim. So you get Shanti, you get peace. See how beautifully he has done. Step by step he has given. There's no need for any great things. Do this. For that you need to approach Guru. Do service to him. Study systematically. Ask for knowledge. Do Shravanam, do Mananam, do Nididhyasanam. Right? In a particular order. When you do this, all of them together, regularly a period of time, you will get Samadhi Nilayam and you will get Shantim. Prapnotu Shantim Dhruvam. Means definitely he will get knowledge or eternal happiness, eternal Shanti. Is it clear? Shankar Mama, is it clear to you?
the second line konja kuda sollunga Swami. Swacharya Paricarya Shastra Vidhana Tasmatya Vidyam Para.
See, Swa Acharyam. Acharya means Guru. Shishya Acharya means the teacher or Guru. And Swa Acharya means what? Very good teacher. A teacher who has been coming from a good parampara, good tradition, and who has been a student of another teacher. So it's called Swa Acharyam. So to that Acharyam, to that teacher, one has to approach. So one has to voluntarily go and approach the teacher, please teach me this Brahma Jnana. And how do you do this? You do by doing seva. See, in the olden days, Paricharyaha means doing service. You may help the Guru by writing some notes, writing some websites, or posting some videos. I do everything. So I'm not asking. What I'm trying to tell you is you can do all the service. Different things are there. You know, putting reminders, asking students to come. They have difficulties. You know, looking for notes, text, putting them. You know, for all these are all services because they are all being done by the teacher now. And sometimes the teacher may not be able to respond on time. Sometimes the teacher will be busy. You may not be able to know what it is. So all these are services which is offered to the teacher or to the Guru as an offering. It is a service being offered. Okay. So this attitude should be there. What can I do? It need not be money. It can be service. It can be anything. Okay. Whatever the teacher says you do, you do. See, if my teacher tells me tomorrow, Shankar, you do this, I will just drop everything and do that. I do not think twice. I do not think even no doubt at all. That should be the commitment. That is what talks about here as Paricharyaha. And Shastra Vidhi. See, Shastra means what? The Vedanta Shastra. Because the Guru will not teach anything other than Vedanta Shastra. He will not teach science. See, in this class, I can't teach science or physics, or I cannot teach, mechanical engineering, etc. I can only, if you ask me anything, I'll teach you Atma Jnana. You want to know this, you come. If you don't want to know this, it's okay. So correct, Shastra Vidhi. And Vidhi means what? It is as laid down Shastra. Correct? So systematically, Shastra Vidhina. So then, Tasmascha, therefore, you have to ask for the Guru, Para Vidya, Vidyam Para. So Vidya means knowledge. What knowledge asking for? Para Vidya. That is highest knowledge. See, we got two knowledge. Para Vidya, Apara Vidya. Apara Vidya is what? All the things which you are not the Atma Jnana, which is science, politics, anything which you are doing, even reading books, going to movies, anything, work also is Apara Vidya. So Para Vidya means what? That knowledge which reveals the Atma Jnana is called Para Vidya. So one approaches the teacher not for other things. See, you cannot. See, once I, so Omkaranda was there. I used to be. I learned from him also Tamil lectures. So once they asked, "Sir, I am having some problem. He is a sannyasi. He's not a Jyotisham or something. What can I say? He says, you go to some astrologer, he will tell you what to do. Because he's not an astrologer. You're asking the wrong person something about Parigaram. Parigaram can be asked to somebody who knows about a particular method. He's a Vidwan, he's Atma Jnana. If you go and ask him, look, Swamiji, I want to learn about Atma Jnana, teach me, he will teach you. But if you say, come and don't teach me about, chanting, he may teach you also. But if you ask him something about, some child is getting born, the star Ranar Kumar, what name should be kept? This is not relevant question. You get what I'm saying? You have to ask the relevant question. You have to only ask the teacher the right question, the right time. You may have a lot of doubts, you may have a lot of things, but you must ask the teacher right time. That's called discipline. So Acharyam Paricharya, that word completes everything. It has got the entire gamut of things you should do. Shastra Vidhinam Tasmascha Vidyam Param. So Shastra Vidhi, that means what is laid on the Shastram. Correct? So one must not, the teacher must not alter things to suit something. There can be some alteration within the structure of the program, but it cannot be something outside of something. Right? So the text structure can vary here and there, because the teacher may say that, okay, this texture is important for you to know first, then we will take up this text. Correct? So these are all allowed in the order. This is called Shastra Vidhi, because it is how it is taught. And Tasmascha Vidhyam Param. Is it clear, Rama?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's clear.
Okay. So we'll read this once and then conclude the class. Okay. Karmopasanato vishuddha hridayaha tatvarta samsiddhaye swacharyam paricharya shastra vidina tasmascha vidhyam param shutva samshayanuttaye cha mananam stamne nididhyasanam abhyasya kramashah samadhi nilayah prapnotu shantim dhruvam. Is it clear, Sridhar?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Srikanji, all okay?
All okay, sir.
Okay. So we'll stop the class here, and tomorrow we have this Suktam class. I sent you already the text for English, Tamil, and Devanagari. Okay. So we'll go through that tomorrow. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste. Shubhratri to all of you.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir.